Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. So I want to have a chat with you about AI, tech, and the future, plus markets. And let's just jump right in. So this is actually a comment from Will. Will is a pizza member, and I'm just telling you guys, this channel runs on pizza. And if you give me pizza, I keep putting out content to you. And Will, I really do appreciate it. So that's why I'm addressing this for you. So Will says, "Hey Chris, I saw that you're writing a book, and yes, I am. Hopefully that'll come out as soon as I can. He says here, I imagine you're going about the traditional way of writing it all yourself, but I strongly urge you to consider having ChatGPT and assisting you. I used it for a personal project of mine and sped up my overall writing process." So as I was telling Will, and I'm just sharing with you guys, when you guys see what I'm writing, you'll see that the AI isn't really great for that. And the example that I sent to Will, but just I'll give you any number of examples is, say, tell me a story about the first time you fell in love. You don't really need the robot to do that. You can just basically tell that story. Or another example is, tell me the first time that you got hired on a job. Any of these number of personal stories is, in my opinion, what's going to keep you relevant, what's going to keep me relevant is your humanness. So I think AI is fantastic, 100%. And I do use technology to do everything that I do these days. I look at the news on the internet. If I'm thinking about something walking down the street, I literally talk to my phone. The phone, does voice diction and just like voice to text and like records that in my phone. I check my, messages all the time on my phone, etc. Also too, I can get alerts on things that I'm tracking, any number of things. So I regularly use technology. I Google everything, whatever. And also too with the writing, which is really cool. Everything's in the cloud these days. So like things sync up perfectly across all devices, which is fantastic. I grew up in an era without email. I grew up in an era where you had to use word processors / typewriter. I remember these things. And so I'm all about using tech. However, the thing I want to emphasize to every one of you out there listening is that use technology to better, sort of who you are, what you do, and to work faster. So 100% agree. However, don't rely on technology to replace your intuition or replace what makes you human, because what makes you human will make you relevant. And so, Will, I do appreciate your support, and I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. I do use tech, but not necessarily in the way that how can I say? Just when you read what I'm writing, you'll see it won't really help me in that way, but tech helps me in other ways. And I want to keep going on this because I do embrace tech. I really do. So Kathy Wood, she really appealed to a lot of young people and new people to market, and basically says, hey guys, tech is awesome, tech is the future, tech is innovation, and therefore you should buy Tesla stock. Got a whole bunch of people riled up to buying this thing, and she's still doing it. In fact, she's now saying that Tesla's going to be $2,000 a share by 2027, which is 10x from here. So that's only 4 years from now that it's going to go 10x. I think that's a pretty bold prediction. I'm laughing because I think that's unlikely, but to be fair, she is a human being. And if she can communicate to other human beings and get other human beings, excited and stuff like that, hey, sure, it can totally happen. And this is where sort of the robots don't necessarily predict that very well, because you can't necessarily predict how humans are going to react to each other. And marketing hype is a big part of this game. It is a real thing. Now, in terms of numbers and sort of just facts, if raising interest rates and if there's not the same amount of money in the markets that there was before, it's hard to see that happening. But again, humans do run things. This is sort of why you want a combination of both, sort of practicality of technology / AI, and also to the intuition of humans. So use both 100%. Here's another example. If I say, hey guys, what's Bitcoin going to do? Is it going to go above 50K? Honestly, I don't know. I really don't, because I don't know what a fair price for Bitcoin is. I personally don't really like this stuff at all, but I do think it's funny to always talk about. And I think there's a combination of, you can say, hey, look at these charts, etc. It looks like Bitcoin is doing X. But at the end of the day, if there is a couple of whales in crypto, they can move the market more than any sort of chart can indicate, because they can just say, I'm just going to dump my position of this stuff, or I'm going to use all my fortune, I'm going to buy in said stuff. So this is where you do want to track of humans, what humans are doing. And again, it's both. You want to sort of have, yes, an idea what the robots say, but also have human intuition to interpret that. There was a funny story. This is actually called Beef. I watched episode 1. So if you haven't seen the show, it's on Netflix. And this is a bit of a spoiler. So you can fast forward if you don't want to hear this, but it's a real minor spoiler. But there was a scene in it where one of the characters was looking at the price of, crypto, and made like 2 grand in a day, and it's like, oh my God, crypto is awesome. I'm making so much money. He then calls like a real estate person, is like, I want to buy a house. He's eating a burger and stuff like that. Call me back. And then later, he finds out that he lost 17K. So this is sort of the world that we live in. This is real. Is that now we can all trade on our phones and this kind of thing. And part of understanding the world that we live in today is how quickly things move. And so in that regard, it is tough to trade against robot/AI because they can make decisions much faster than we can. However, you still need to use your intuition as a human to decipher, what is good, what is bad. And this is sort of why I talk about both with you guys. I'll give you an example. So this is the upcoming earnings week, okay? And these are all the companies that are coming up. And I want to point out to a couple in particular. So, for example, this is Activision Blizzard. And if I ask the AI, I said, hey, AI, what's a fair value for this thing? And it tells me, okay, current price is $85, fair value is 66, okay? So they would say that it's 28% overvalued, and right? I'm just giving you a couple examples here. And I said, hey, AI, what's Halliburton, what's it worth? What's a fair price for that? And AI would say, okay, current price is $33, fair value is 36. This is 9.2% undervalued. So if I just use the AI, then this would suggest that I should probably, get Halliburton and maybe Activision is not so great. Now, for those of you who are watching this and you know anything about these companies, you would have a little bit of sort of insider knowledge. So for example, I'm looking at earnings coming up this week, and this is sort of why you still need humans, is where's the Activision? Activision's on Thursday, and Halliburton, say, on Tuesday. Now, what if, for example, it turns out that Halliburton gets awarded a contract to rebuild Ukraine, which I do think is a possibility. It's happened in the past, can certainly happen again. And you have information about that. You see it in the news, or just little have inside information that the government's going to award them a contract. Dick Cheney's on board and this kind of stuff. And that would actually probably, make the stock skyrocket. And this is something that the AI may not necessarily pick up on. And this is sort of how I think about when I, looking at companies/stocks is knowing when a company does, know what industry it is in. And also, yes, using AI to get a general sense of what it could be worth, not knowing anything about the company, but you have to do both. And this is something that very few channels do, and sort of why I try to help you guys with is like I literally look at the full picture, and this is a real thing. You can't rely on any one indicator. You can't rely on any one tool. You have to essentially take all the information you can and use your intuition. So the AI will help you speed up that process, though. Activision. So Activision, the AI would suggest that this thing is grossly overvalued, right, at 28%. However, if you've been following the news of Activision, you would know that Microsoft was looking at buying this thing. And also, too, Warren Buffett was also buying it. And also, too, I had talked about this one was like 2 years ago, something like that, because it seemed like it not a bad deal. The reason why the stock was going down, I think it was like 2.5 years ago, is that essentially the company had really bad culture in terms of this. It was just how it was. There's like a lot of sexism, a lot of harassment, this bad culture. But it didn't necessarily mean the company was bad. They still make money. They still had, World of Warcraft and these kind of things. However, like also knowing about the company, there was recent news that China is sort of cutting back on support of Blizzard, basically. And it was like, I think it was, I want to say it's Garena, but I can't remember the exact name. Don't quote me on that. But it was something like, the way to feeling about China is that a lot of the gamers play games in PC cafes, and then the license for, using Blizzard in said PC game cafes is like expired. And then the Chinese game companies want to come in and take more of their player base. And so, again, this is a complicated issue that not necessarily the AI would understand or know. And this would be the same for any one of these companies. And so this is sort of something that I always try to put together. For people who are, say, we use the example of Tesla, who are Tesla bulls, they say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. You don't know anything about Tesla technology. This thing's going to go to the moon, right? Elon Musk is going to, bet all the profits and we don't need to make money now because we're going to make money 10 years from now. So I don't care what the price is what Tesla bulls say because I'm a long-term investor. It's like, well, I put the two things together, right? If I look at Tesla, I want to use the AI to say, okay, what's a fair price of it just based on numbers, and also using my own intuition. Do I trust things that Elon Musk says? Do I trust things that Tesla Pumper says, right? And you have to make that decision for yourself, but use both. So I'm I'm just talking to Will again. Will, I'm right there with you. So I use tech to augment my already existing skills, but at the end of the day, you do want to use your tuition. And so I'm just there with you. I'm saying, yes, I use tech when it's appropriate, but it will not replace a human. And I want you guys to always be thinking about how can you stand out in this environment when tech will, in fact, and AI too, will replace some humans, the humans that are not constantly upgrading your skills and upgrading your knowledge base. And sort of why I help you guys out this channel. So this would be one where people are over optimistic on what AI/drivers, driverless cars can do. Here's another example. So this is Bed Bath & Beyond. This is an example of a company that basically completely failed, and they're going bankrupt. They just announced it on Sunday, and they basically just of Bed Bath & Beyond is Amazon wiped them out, essentially. Online shopping and stores, a lot of stores got wiped out by essentially the sort of move to the internet. And this is something that I think we all saw coming, but just for whatever reason, not every store, even if they saw it coming, took it seriously or invested enough into it, or they just had a dying model to begin with, and there just was, no way to get out of it. They keep trying and trying, but yeah, they're going bankrupt. And I guess sort of the message I want you guys to get from all of these things is again, you need to be using your intuition, developing those skills. Don't stop learning, and don't rely too much on AI for everything. I think AI/tech is great to augment your skills the same way I talked about. I write in the cloud, I take notes with my phone. Maybe AI/Google is really good at looking up facts and these kind of things. But at the end of the day, like say, typically this earnings state report, for example, is you need to make your own decision based on all the information you can possibly can to make reasonable choices in life. And talking about the earnings coming up, just you guys give you some examples of just how AI doesn't tell you the full story. Look at Intel. Intel, maybe numbers wise, you think it would be a pretty good, but you would need to know, okay, how does Intel's actual tech compare to say like AMD or NVIDIA? Like how do their actual chips, do they actually have a future there? However, you also have to know is like, how good is their relationship with the White House? That is a real thing, because the government can just, give a whole bunch of money and say, we're going to support Intel no matter what, and we're going to subsidize building factories. So these are sort of where, yes, use AI to determine fair value, but also understand the news and understand what's going on with the company. Another example, take a look at Comcast. It was just in the news today that their CEO had some sort of harassment. No, it wasn't harassment. They were inappropriate relationship, and so then therefore stepping down. It's like it was just announced. Like, oh wait, okay, I guess that is a thing. Or take a look at something like a Pepsi. There was a really funny news that it was like Sprite is like really, really popular, and I think Sprite is the Coca-Cola version. And then Pepsi was like developing a new one, and I think Sierra Mist failed, so they're going to try to go for like another flavor, that kind of thing. Now, is that particular story important to Pepsi? Maybe not. It may not be that worth that much money. However, it does show that a company like Pepsi is constantly innovating, which would be a positive thing, right? Meaning that they're not necessarily just going to rest in their laurels, that they're concerned about, market share and want to, keep pushing forward with their business, right? These are the kind of stuff that I take a look at. Or, 3M, what's going on with their earplug situation, right? Is the government going to side with them or not? There was recently a ruling by the court that was like kind of against 3M. So I think if I had to bet right now, they're kind of on the losing end of the stick. But again, you have to use your intuition on that, on what you think. Google is an interesting one. I'm just going through different news of the companies. Is essentially what's going on right now. There's a fight between Google and Microsoft actually on which search engine Samsung is going to choose as their default search. Will it be Bing? Will it be Google? And one article I read was really funny is that Google, whatever money Samsung wants, just pay them and keep Google as a default. But Bing, I guess, is actually a real challenge these days. That is a real thing. Moreover, looking at other things like example, Boeing is an interesting one. They keep building out jets, and this is only like a couple people in this space. It's like Boeing, and what's it? Isn't it called? I'm an idiot. My mind is, this is where I need AI. Say, hey, AI, help me out here. But it's Airbus. I think Airbus is the other competitor. There's only like a couple companies out there that make these sort of big passenger planes. And you'd want to know that, okay, is the government backing them or not? Do they have a good relationship with the airlines, and are they getting orders from the Saudis? That is a real thing. And so any one of these, I can go through every company and give you guys an opinion. But any one of these things, I want you to use both. Use AI/tech to augment your already existing skills, but ultimately use your intuition to make the best decision. And also understand this is a real thing. Humans can act irrationally like a Kathy would. So I know I gave you guys all sorts of things And I just want to, say, well, Will, I truly appreciate it. And I think it's a fun conversation. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys, what I'm writing. But, give me time. I've written a couple chapters now. On the third, if you do percentage wise, I'm like 15% done with the book. I'm aiming for around 50,000 words total around. And if you write, 1,000 words a day, which is actually quite a bit, that would take you 50 days. So that would be probably the fastest I could possibly do it. Theoretically, you could write 2,000 words a day, but then that would be a month. But 2,000 words a day is a ludicrous amount. I would say a healthy pace is 200, 500, 1,000 in that range, and then you can calculate there what it takes to get to 50,000 words. But it's something that I also too is, how can I explain? There's a certain sense of pride when you do things as with your own hands, as much as your own work is possible. And I say it's possible because it's just reality. Yes. These days, grammar and spell checkers are fantastic. So I can't spell worth the beans, but now the computer corrects all that stuff. And so I'm not afraid to say, hey guys, I love spell checker. I absolutely love it. But there's something to be said about having your own original thoughts and sharing that with the world. And something why, people often ask me, hey, Chris, how do you, put out content so regularly, is because I have my own thoughts. I don't need to worry about what other people think. I read the news and look at headlines and just essentially just look at facts and just try to share my thoughts with you. And I think this is something that, again, AI can't replace, is the human relationships that you have with people and also your intuition. So I hope you guys understand the message of this thing. And again, I do appreciate everyone's support and coming back. And I try my best to help you guys every day. So thanks again for watching. Love to hear your thoughts on this topic. And I'll catch you next video.